Hey, everybody. This week on Casa De Confidence, we're welcoming a woman who spent decades climbing to the top of the corporate leadership, running multi-billion-dollar businesses, shaping strategy for Fortune 100 companies, and leading teams across nearly every function you can imagine. But that's only one chapter of her story. After two brutal battles with burnout and life-threatening healthcare, she did the bravest thing a leader can do. Is she stopped performing and started returning to herself. Today, she's bringing back humanity to leadership. And I'm excited to be able to have her here on the show because she's someone that I know in real life. We have served under Women United as part of the leadership, and she's done some incredible work. And I'm just so excited that this creative soul and philanthropist is here with us today because she is a fierce advocate of women, children, and families. And we welcome today Jean Turner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Julie. It is an honor to be here.
Well, I have been looking forward to our conversation mainly because, your post since you started going in this journey, and you mentioned to me when you started your coaching certification, and I just been watching this whole evolution, and it was something momentous happened this year. You took the brave leap that some of us took a long time to do, and it's scary, and I've been in those shoes, but you went from the corporate environment to now following this road of being someone that is that cheerleader and a mentor and everything else to the individuals who need a coach like you. And I wonder, what is the biggest lesson so far that you've gained from this big leap?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. And thanks for calling out that transition and the courage that it took to kind of step into my next chapter and really follow the calling that I have felt for, gosh, 4+ years at this
Mm,
point in time.
yeah, yeah.
So, one of the things that I noticed right away after I transitioned away from a 29-year corporate career was a surge in my creativity.
Mm.
And I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but it actually happened the very next day. So that was unique to my experience. The
Uh-huh.
beautiful thing is it hasn't abated.
I love that.
And I feel like I have oceans inside of me to write.
Mm,
And that's allowed me to step into my work as a coach into this next chapter, show up for family, friends, community in a I don't know, just like a different, fresher way, but
mhm,
I
mhm.
will admit, I also miss the community of my colleagues, and I wanna
Mm,
say that
yeah.
because I think about people a lot. I'm fortunate to be in touch with a lot of
Mhm.
people, but I miss that. I do.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I feel the same way, and I think that we don't talk about that enough. Just because we take the brave leap somewhere, it doesn't mean that we don't miss that, entity who or that person who we were before in a past role, and we can take everything that we learn and we became through that identity and bring it here, but still, there's that part of us that wants to, not give up that community because that's exactly what it is when you're fortunate enough to be in an organization that, invest in individuals, so I get it.
Yeah, and at the same time, I will share that over the last few years, I have found that that notion of community for me has
Mhm,
been changing a lot. And whereas for many years it revolved very heavily around my workplace, my
mhm,
employer, my immediate team, my business partners, my vendors, all that.
mhm,
Um, and then my family and my immediate friends, right? In more recent years, my definition of community has expanded to
mhm,
include I don't know, like all these micro communities and
Yeah.
groups of people that I feel like I'm being attracted to are somehow showing up on my doorstep,
Yeah.
and that has just been, pretty incredible to witness.
Mhm. I love that. I think that for me, one of the biggest gifts and the thing that I didn't really anticipate is that I would become part of a larger family, but like you said, has all these little micro communities being online. And I think of all the incredible people that I've come in contact with, not just clients, but individuals who are really change makers in this world. And I think, wow, that intersection of my life and theirs, that's a gift. And I get
Yes.
so much from the individuals that I get to meet and really collaborate with or learn from. And you've said many of us go through life as an actor in somebody else's story. And I know that as we belong to different communities and we come in contact with different individuals, we still suffer from imposter syndrome. Now, how do you manage showing up authentically and,
Mm.
rather than playing a part? Because I know that you said that you were playing a part in your corporate career at some point. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful question. You know, I'll share a few highlights and then encourage you to take it in whatever direction you feel like we should go in for the benefit of your listeners. Yeah, I mean, I I hit hardcore burnout. I don't know, it was like
Mhm.
15 years ago and then again 10 years ago, and
Mm,
it brought me to my knees in various ways, and it
wow.
showed up differently each time. And it was those kind of like crucible moments for me that
Mhm.
made me realize, okay, something has to change
Mhm.
or I might not be here, right? Or
Yeah,
all
that's
sorts of
huge.
stuff could happen, right?
Mhm.
So that catalyzed for me a new sort of journey. And I'd always been a lifelong learner, right? I call
Mhm.
myself a student of business and the human condition.
Love that.
So I've always been like this total kid who just loves to, absorb as much as I can and all that
Mhm.
stuff. But my journey now around learning is around self-development, and
Mm.
it's a journey that will never end.
Wow.
It has no end, so as a result, the performativity that I used to hold around, like corporate type roles,
Mhm.
jobs, challenges, and stuff like that, um, is no longer there, and as I support people in their growth and development and step into more business advisory and strategic advisory work for organizations, I'm bringing a whole different skill set, and I'm bringing a transformed person along with it. So
Mm.
there's like a rebirth or a reinvention that has happened in me,
Mhm.
not just once, but probably, I don't know, like 3 times now.
Mm. I think that so many times, right, as high achievers, we think that we need to wear that badge of honor when it comes to burnout. And I'm so glad that, well, not glad that you were burnt out, but glad that you're taking the experiences and now bringing them to organizations and individuals in the work that you're doing. I wonder, you grew up in a creative family, and I believe that coaching can be very creative.
Yeah.
What would younger Jan say about the creativity that you get to express in the work that you're doing today?
Oh my gosh. So I had 2 visuals come to me as you asked that question, and I don't know, I'm gonna just share them. So one of
Yeah,
them
go
was
for it.
myself sitting in my bedroom, my 10 by 10 bedroom in Westfield, Massachusetts. I had
Mhm,
1 sibling, an older brother, and, oh my gosh, like, he taught me about music, but I learned about it through the wall that separated his bedroom from mine, because he would play his electric guitar and he would play all sorts of rock music of the day, AC/DC,
mhm,
Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, all that stuff.
right.
So, I developed this hardcore passion for music.
Mhm.
And I also had this really hardcore passion for writing. And the other memory that came back to me was, I don't know, I was like in middle school and I won the writing contest, the creative writing contest.
Hmm.
And then the school administration came to me and they said, "Hey, congratulations, you won the writing contest." The prize of which was to have the story published in the school newspaper. And they said, "But we're really sorry, we're not going to publish your story." And I was like,
Really?
"Okay." And I actually wasn't super surprised because I wrote a
Mhm.
horror story. And
Okay.
it was pretty rough,
Mhm.
but it was one of the most creative things I had ever done at that point, and it
Hmm.
just flowed off my pen, right?
Mhm.
So, little Jan would look at me right now and she'd be like, "Oh, yeah, you go. Like, you go."
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, I love also your question on this other dimension because the child within, right,
Mhm.
is still very much us. The only thing
Yeah.
that's happened is cell division.
Mhm.
We've
Mhm.
just gotten bigger,
Yeah.
navigated all sorts of stuff, hopefully had a bunch of learnings,
Mhm.
but she is still me.
Mm. I'm so glad you said that. I tend to revisit that little Julie as well. And I tend to think there's no way that that girl is not here. And there's some ways in which I've suppressed her and said, okay, here, I can't have you be hurt. And I created a lot of walls. And when I do that, I'm also suppressing that curiosity and that creativity that sometimes we take for granted within ourselves. But you're right. We may have a couple more wrinkles here and there, but the reality is that that young person inside of us is still there, and we need to embrace them.
Yes,
Mm,
very much.
yeah. Now,
And
for you, do you feel that you're serving her and her dreams that she might have had at one point?
yeah, I would say that she always wanted to, how do I say this? She was very she was very enamored
Mhm.
by the natural world and by things that would bring her to a place of awe.
Hmm.
And I'll give you 2 for instances, and then I'll
Yeah.
take that forward to the work that I'm doing now and how that carries, into today for me. So, when I go back and think about experiences that I had as a little kid that really were so simple, but now as I reflect on them as an adult, were really, like, otherworldly. They were kinda
Mhm.
like flow state experiences that we talk about, when we're
Yep.
coaching people or what have you. But the time that I would spend in my yard or in the woods,
Mhm.
just exploring nature, the
Ooh.
smells, the textures, the
Mhm.
sights, the different seasons. I've had some really beautiful, simple, and profound experiences literally in my backyard and in the woods.
Hmm.
And that's true even into this day. And then, you know, I would spend time with my pets, and my pets back then were birds. They were little birds,
Hmm.
and I would just commune with them and relate to them in some way, and there was a preciousness to it. There
Mhm.
was an unspoken, connection. I don't know how to explain it. And today, when I think about the work that I do with coaching clients in particular,
Mhm.
especially in my private practice, the method of coaching that I do is what I call integrative coaching. So it's think of it as a like a tailored blend, because it's
Mhm.
always unique to the individual,
Right.
of what I was trained in, which is integral coaching,
Mhm.
which is all about, helping people to connect more deeply the mind, the body, the heart, and the spirit,
Love
because
it.
most of us walk around, right, wrong, or indifferent, living most of our lives up here
Mhm.
in our
Mhm.
head.
Yeah.
But then I also bring in my depth and breadth of my business and leadership experience through
Mhm.
leadership coaching and at times business advisory where it's appropriate. So, there's a richness to the relationship, there's a real
Mhm.
breadth for the issues that I can explore with people, and throughout, the engagements with people, what I've heard consistently is that being heard and met in a way that is really authentic and really characterized by deep active listening, the vulnerability that I bring to my own past, my own learnings,
Mhm.
and the issues that I think just relate to a lot of people who are traveling professional paths and life paths where the personality at times just gets in the way. You
Mhm.
know, the work
Mhm.
I do just has a way of helping people see those patterns more clearly
Yeah.
and really be more discerning about which ones they want to shift and change over time.
Hmm. What do you think are the biggest patterns that maybe a high achieving woman and the verge of burnout doesn't see?
Yeah. I mean, from a mixture of personal experience and experience working with a lot of different people and
Mhm.
also looking at the research, there is a tendency at times for people to think, if I don't do it, then who will?
Mm.
So it
Big.
can be, a lack of
Mhm.
delegation,
Mhm.
a lack of discernment in terms of what is mine to do,
Mhm.
truly mine to do. There can also be the perfectionist trap, right?
Right.
Which this notion of if it's not up to a certain standard that is, how do I say this? We can't look across everything that we do and say we need to get an A in every class, right? That's one thing that I learned
Yeah.
a long time ago, and I share with people a lot because not everything deserves your A work and your A effort. And that's
Right.
true at work and it's true at home and in your
Mhm.
personal life. And it
Yeah.
and it ripples out to the relationships and the company that you keep, right? So
Yeah.
then to your point, the third thing that I would bring in, just off the top of my head too, of course, is boundaries, right?
Mm.
If you have not, how do I say this, been adept at really paying attention to what gives me energy, what takes it
Mhm.
away,
Yeah.
what do I want to bring more of into my life versus not,
Mhm.
then you probably haven't necessarily spent a lot of time thinking about how boundaries, no matter how small,
Mhm.
can help you do more of what you want, bring more of what you want into the world, and contribute at actually a deeper and more sustainable level.
Mm. That's so good, and I think that, I wish, Julie in 2010 maybe had a coach and someone that helped her kind of unpacked a lot of that, and I had a coach starting in 2012. And I know that that was probably the right time for them to come. And it's so important, right, that we become open to the idea that we don't have all the answers. And I know that for many individuals who are in leadership positions, I think that's the big mistake. Nobody teaches us, and we learn the hard way that we don't have all the answers, and that the best type of leader that we can become is the one that delegates, the one that says, "Here, step into this role, and I will just be there to support you." And I know that
Yes.
that was a big mistake for me.
Yes. Yes. And that
Yeah.
whole notion, right, of not feeling like you have to have all the answers
Mhm.
is a kissing cousin in a lot of ways
Yeah.
for some people to the need to be right,
Mm. Yeah.
And whether it's in your work relationships,
Mhm.
whether it's taking it home and, bringing that attitude into your relationship with your partner or your kids or your broader family relationships, etc., having to be right, right, is
Mhm.
another
Yeah.
really challenging personality trap
Oh,
for a
yeah,
lot of
for
folks.
sure. Listen, I think that all these, personality traits I went to TEDx Hartford last night, and it was so good, and one of the last speakers, she's a career coach, and works in the HR industry. And she shared a personal anecdote that someone came to her right before she went into this big burnout. But someone said to her, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that in this organizations of hundreds of people, nobody likes to work with you." And it was such a humbling experience for her. But I think, um, how do we move, right, from the person that maybe nobody wants to work with because we let ourselves get in the way?
Yeah.
And how courageous for someone to come in, say that to somebody
Yeah.
else, and then how
Yeah.
courageous it was for her to take it and accept it. Have you had to
Mhm.
do one or the other,
Mm.
accept or give feedback to someone in that
Yeah.
sense? Maybe not as momentous as Kendall did in her life, but I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, it's thank you. So, I'm immediately transported back, gosh, I don't know, 12 years, 10 years, um, back to when I rehired a woman that I had hired into another organization
Mhm,
years ago, into the last organization I was working in, and she's really this incredibly talented woman who's done so much in her career.
mhm,
But at the time that she was rejoining the company and working for me for a bit, we were just, shooting the shit in my office at one point, and she said to me like, "Hey, can I tell you something?"
mhm.
And I was like, "Yeah, you can tell me anything." And she's like, "You're a kinder, gentler Janice than you
Mm.
were at the last company where we worked together, and I really like the person you've become."
Wow.
And you know what? At first, it was like, "Whoa," and then I was like,
Mhm,
"Yeah, she's right. She's
mhm.
so right," and I'm
Yeah,
so happy about that. I'm so
mhm.
proud of that.
Yeah. I think that, sometimes we have to make those mistakes, right? And the same thing that a lot of times, even as entrepreneurs, right? We have to, when we know better, we do better. And there's a lot of agency that it takes into stepping into the new version of yourself, taking in some of that feedback from the world, from your colleagues, and from individuals. Now, um, how do you, because I know that, there's a blend, at least for me, right? It's hard to separate my life as a coach and my private life because I don't know, right? I think in my corporate career, there were very defined times like, okay, this is when I work or this is what I share and yes, there was some intersections, but never kind of a blend. How do
Yeah.
you and do you blend or do you
Mm.
have these very defined areas as now in this new role as a coach?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really interesting question. So the first thing that comes up to me, as I mentioned earlier, that I've experienced this creative renaissance that for
Mhm,
me at this stage in my life is coming through in terms of writing again, which
mhm.
transports me again back to
Yeah.
like childhood. And when I have so many ideas about what I want to communicate on, what I want to explore,
Mhm.
that I've established this internal, almost like yardstick for what
Mm.
I lend my time and attention to, and ultimately what I share.
Yeah.
And there's like a spoiler alert in that it's actually a bit selfish
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I say to myself, what is it that really feels like it wants to come through me? Because I'm the channel that this
Mhm.
needs to come through right now.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
something that will nurture me and support me and potentially be of value to one or more
Mhm.
others if I bring it into the world. So that's a yardstick that I use
Yeah.
in terms of that sort of creativity. And the other thing, Julie, that your question brought up for me is I want to come back to what you touched on around opening up and being vulnerable.
Mhm.
So for many years, right, I would show up at work one way,
Mhm.
and then go home and be with my family and friends and all that stuff and show up in a different way, and I call that wearing the masks, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when I was a child, there really wasn't a mask, right?
Mhm.
And then I got into maybe, late high school, college, the mask started really coming on for me in
Mhm.
business school,
Yeah.
as an undergrad. Um, but it's one of these things where vulnerability did not being vulnerable became natural for me,
Mm.
almost like a light switch flicking when I realized that I was really interested in understanding myself more deeply,
Mhm.
and I started to have more of a sense of genuine love,
Mhm.
self-love, and a self-compassion that I was somehow cultivating that made it such that if I shared my failures, if I shared my lessons, if I,
Right.
was encouraging people, "No, give it to me straight, give me balanced feedback. Don't
Mhm.
just don't just give me the easy stuff."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I there was a richness in it. There was the ability to learn and process and grow, and then be a better leader, a better friend, a better wife, a better partner to others. So again, I come back to
Mhm.
there is a bit of a selfishness
Yeah.
in being vulnerable. And I say it, I smile as I say it because I don't know how many people think of it that way, but it's the kind of selfishness
Mhm.
that then yields
Yeah.
these delightful fruits
Oh, 100%.
for others.
Mhm. Yeah. I I think, for me, and again, I think that there's gotta be that selfishness about the work that you do for yourself. Because once you're doing that work, yes, it's for you, but you start to kind of create that ripple effect. Now, you alluded to your writing. I am a big fan of the writings. Every time you have posted or sent something, I've said, "Oh my God, that's so good." And I know that you come from a musical family. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
you there's a blog and it's called The Flashlight Tag and the Art of
Mm,
Play. And
yes.
you say, want to get your groove back? Play. Now, at the same time, I want to kind of make the intersection and connection to this because your love story is
Yeah.
rooted in music as well.
Mhm.
What role does creativity play in your well being today?
Ah, yes. I have to acknowledge first my love story. So
Yes.
I know
And
you
if you're
talk
open to
about,
sharing, I'd love to
yeah, and
share that.
that's beautiful. So I know you talk about, Dan, the handsome hot husband. Well, oh, I I fell in almost like head over heels for my husband when I saw him in the hallways, when we were graduate students, getting our MBAs. He was
Wow.
like the only guy who had long hair, and I was like, "Oh, he's the one for me."
Right, there you go.
A lifelong music fan, artist, all of that. So I got my first date with my husband when I went to a party at the house that he and his housemates were hosting. And sure enough, I hang around long enough, we get a chance to start talking one on one, and we start talking about music, right?
Mhm.
What he's a fan of. We're looking at, of course, dating ourselves, but checking out the CD collection,
Yeah, I
right?
know, right? Hey, listen,
Yeah.
CDs are making a comeback, and now they're, collector items that are worth a lot of money according to Dan.
Well, there you go. And I ended up getting a date with him over a music, trivia question
Ooh.
that he was convinced he knew the answer to, but sure enough, I was right. And, so the next, day, he drops me a note, um, and says, "Okay, you're right. Burger King or McDonald's?" So the rest has been history with him, but we like to play music in our house. So
Mm,
I'm still the hardcore groupie when it comes to music in our house. I
yeah.
do a little bit of drumming, but I'm still a
Mhm.
very basic drummer. I like to practice my
I love
rudiments,
that.
my beats. But I live in a family of largely multi-instrumentalists, which is really
Wow.
special and beautiful. And
Mhm,
here's the thing, Julie, like, when I think about putting aside things that I do that are mindfulness based
mhm,
or other practices that I have, the thing with my family that keeps me the most grounded, and my closest friends see this a lot too, is my silliness.
mm,
So here's the thing, when I was working, the people who worked the closest to me over
mhm.
the years nicknamed it after 4 p.m. Jan. And at
I
home,
love
it's
that.
after 7 p.m. Jan, okay?
Right,
Like
right.
the little bit of a shift. But yeah, there's a real lightness, a playfulness, and a silliness that comes out in me
Mhm.
because it's never left me.
Right, right. I love that. I think that finding the person that can be your playmate as well in life is incredibly important.
Yes.
And the fact that you're surrounded by an individual that's also creative, right, and that gets it. I think that that's it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yes.
I know that in order to have that artistic creativity and playtime with your partner, it means that you also have to invest and you have to be willing to um, sometimes do the hard work of connection and communication. And sometimes that's becomes a
Yeah.
lost art, especially as women in midlife. I think sometimes we we begin to live these separate lives. At least I see that a lot with clients or with
Yeah.
friends that they're in two different lanes from their spouses. But I hope that individuals listening can maybe find a way to reconnect with something that, maybe brought you together to
Yes.
the person in your life and say, "Hey, let's go to whatever that may be," right? And kind of bring it back and connect with that person and that level that you might have been at that point.
Yes. And so I'm transported back to the discussion that my husband and I had on our last date night, which was just this past weekend. And
Mhm,
we don't do them as often as we should. And we had a very fortuitous opportunity that turned into date night. And there's this little local inn and tavern we like to go to that's out in Barkhamsted. And we just
mhm.
sit in there and we just hunker down by the fireplace and we just
Nice.
talk.
Oh, love that.
And it's like having the opportunity to open up and share with each other about
Mhm,
what's going on and evolving for you. What are you excited about? What are
yeah.
you challenged about?
Mhm,
What do you what's what might be scaring you? I like to
right.
think of myself as my partner's consigliere, and I like to
Mm,
think of him as my consigliere in turn. Not
mhm,
because we
mhm.
each have the answers for each other, not because we're there to solve each other's problems or put them in tidy boxes and
Right.
make them go away for each other,
Mhm.
but because we are, like the bedrock of each other's support network.
Mm,
And being able to, just through my experience, each be on our own
mhm,
unique personal growth journeys has actually allowed us over time to deepen our love more than I ever thought possible, and I actually see him
mm,
as more of a mystery than I did when I was in the very earlier parts of our
mhm.
relationship.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
I think, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of, creating this space where you can look at things and be in a relationship and still remind yourself that, hey, it can be fresh. It doesn't, but that's how you choose to see it. And I
Yes.
think that that's very important. And sometimes our reality is really based on the choices that we make and how, one, we choose to show up, and two, what we choose to make with what's around us, right? How are we going to take that in? Is this, something that can be interesting or mysterious or fun? Or is it
Yes.
just, same old, and that maybe not get past that?
Yeah, and practically speaking, it's as plain vanilla as it gets. But communication,
Yep,
communication, communication,
right.
and we've we've learned that in our own way in our relationship
Mhm,
and have worked on it and gotten it to a place where it's, largely, works for us and is very special, but every now and then, I'll kinda, take the bottom of my hand and be like, "Oh," hit my forehead like, "Oh, well, if only I talked to him about this," or, "Why did I assume that?"
right.
But owning it, just owning it
Yeah,
with each other, right? So you can move past
yeah,
it, and
absolutely.
doing that as quickly as possible, I found is incredibly helpful.
Mhm. I agree with you. I think that that's, and in any circumstance, any relationship, I think that that definitely applies, you know?
Yes.
Um, so talking music, because I love music, and I think that it's such a, um, integral part of my life. I don't listen to Spotify, I use Apple, I'm an Apple girl, and I was shocked. It gives you your year in review,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and I there's nothing but consistency in my life, and then you throw in the unexpected, so it gave me all of my top artists by month, and of
Mm.
course, the top artist for the year, shockingly enough to anyone who knows me, is Jimmy Buffett, because I guess I listen to more Jimmy Buffett than anything else, but there were some artists in there that like, who is that again? And I had to like, this is my top artist? Who is that? I don't even know if I can name a song. But I'm so drawn to different types of genre in soulful music. Now,
Mm.
who would you say are your top artists that you can listen to again and
Oh,
again? And
yeah.
who are you into that may be a little different from
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
typically listen to?
Yeah. Okay. So, I love the Smiths. The
Mm.
Smiths, right? Morrissey, right? Johnny
Mhm,
Marr, like, I love the Smiths. In the last 2
mhm,
years, they've been top 1 or 2 for me, and, of course,
mhm.
Morrissey had to cancel his tour
Yeah.
recently, which was so upsetting because that's what I had my birthday tickets to.
Oh, okay.
Like, the funny thing is everything old is new again
Mhm.
because, we have a teenage daughter,
Yeah.
and she has inherited our deep, deep love of a diverse, musical spectrum. So
Uh-huh.
she is rivaling me for Smith's fandom, first of all,
Oh, okay.
but she introduced me to my other, like, favorite artist of the day, which is Somber. I
Oh, I
love
don't know
Somber.
Somber. Okay, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
go check him
yeah.
out.
Yeah, he's great.
Amazing.
He's like a mix of, I don't know, like Richard Ashcroft, The
Okay.
Verve,
Ooh.
all sorts of modern pop, and she introduced me to Conan Gray, and,
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep.
so
Oh, very fun. Well, the youngins definitely introduce us to some new artists. I've been listening a lot to Noah Khan, which I think that people
yes,
know. But
yes.
my top song for the year, and I mean, this is not a new song, and Apple called it my anthem, and it's Sailboat by Ben Rector. And I thought,
Ooh,
huh, I guess I was in a year of, um, distinguishing, what with the direction maybe, and kind of like leaving the safety of my life that I knew and evolving into the uncharted waters of being a
yeah,
caretaker, I think, and that's how I interpret it. It might be, maybe that's just what was on repeat on my phone.
yeah. Well, I can identify with
Yeah.
that as a story arc for
Mhm.
2025. In many ways,
No.
it parallels, some aspects of my own. I knew that 2025 was gonna be a year of change, and
Mhm.
I sensed that it was gonna be a year of, crossing a threshold or
Mm.
thresholds, and it's played out that way, and
Nice.
It's been very special and very beautiful. I look at the support network that I have, which is something I talk a lot with coaching clients about, because none of us can navigate, um, this life alone,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
The opportunities, the challenges, if we wanna contribute at scale or at a bigger level, at some point, we are sure as heck not doing it alone.
Yeah, no, we're not. Um, as we start to wrap up, I know that there's something very impactful that happened to me when my dad passed. And he said, "Honey, life is for the living." And "go confidently" is the quote from Henry David Thoreau that he told me from an early age and has been sort of the mantra in my life. And I do this work because I know that he poured into me and encouraged me to go after all the different things, bravely, courageously, confidently. Now, your mom, her
Mm,
passing brought a message:
yes.
live a fierce life. What does
Yeah.
fierce living look like to you now?
Mm. Yes, yes. So, fierce is about approaching life with a heartfelt intensity.
Mm,
And when I look at my own life and I look at the work that I do with others and observing those who I see as living fiercely, whether it's leading fiercely, showing up fiercely in their own life, there are a host of different qualities or like
mhm,
ways of being that characterize it. And I'll name a few that I think are particularly poignant and relevant. But it's it's very much about being in touch with a sense of increasing clarity, a sense
mhm,
of creativity, of confidence, of
mm.
resilience, of compassion,
Wow.
and the ability to be forward moving in your life,
Mm, I love
right?
that.
Those are some of the core qualities of what it means to live fiercely. And that's not what uh, I guess I would say I inferred
Mhm,
from those 4 words when a few hours after my mom died, I had an experience where I just felt them honestly, like, downloaded into my
mm,
brain. Um, I kinda was like, "Huh, okay. Thanks, mom. That's pretty
mm.
wild." And for those people who happen to know my mom, she was a incredibly loving, giving soul, but would not be characterized as fierce.
Okay.
So this message, has felt particularly potent to me.
Mhm.
Um, but but yeah, it is those qualities and characteristics, and I put that out there as an invitation, not only to myself to
Mhm.
continue to live into and toward, but I put it out there for all of us.
Amazing. I love that you're living in fierceness, and I see the work that you're doing and the way that you're showing up, and I think that you're embodying all of that, Jan. So keep doing what you're doing. Now, you have a free gift for the listeners, and I'm so grateful because we all love free gifts. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure, sure. So if you visit my website, which is jan-turner.com, and you select weekly reset from the upper nav, you can enter your email address and download a really simple guide that is very much designed to help you reset your mind, your priorities, and your energy as you end one week and get ready to start the next. I call it the Fierce Weekly Reset, and I hope you enjoy it. I have found it
Oh.
very valuable in my own life.
Love that. I believe in that reset. I think that we can't just, keep going without pausing and looking back and then saying, "Okay, how do I move forward?" So I love it. So incredibly generous of you. And lastly, before we wrap up, I'm going to have all the information in the show notes for everyone who wants to connect with you. And again, is jan-turner.com. And again, the weekly reset is going to be there in the upper right-hand corner of the navigation. But Jan, as you leave now, and if there's one question maybe that the listeners can ask themselves so that they too can perhaps live a creative life full of fierceness, what would
Yeah.
that question is that they can ask themselves?
Ah, yeah. To me, the most core question that I think any of us can ask ourselves if we're really interested in moving into new territories, new chapters, and opening up to more of what life could offer us is, am I ready and willing to understand the patterns that hold me back?
Mm, beautiful. I think that that's a really strong question, and I think that anybody who's listening, I wanna encourage you, not only go get that weekly reset, but answer that question for yourself, because you may be surprised what comes up, and this can be just the beginning, maybe that lighthouse that you're looking out in the ocean bringing you home to you. So, thank you, Jan, for being here. I so appreciate you. I can't wait to see you and hug you in person soon, I hope.
Thank you, Julie. I look forward to that too. And thank you for all you do to bring so much insight and love and just wisdom into the world,
You're so
yourself and through
kind.
all your guests.
Well, thank you so much, Jan. And my friends, really go connect with Jan. She's incredible. I know her in real life, but she is the real deal. She can walk you through a lot of these paths that sometimes we need to have a mentor, a friend, someone holding our hands, walking alongside of us. And additionally, she's been there. She's made some incredible leaps, and you can take that easy button and find the right mentor and guide to come alongside of you so that you too can go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Thank you, everybody. Until next time, see you later. Bye, Jan.
Thank you.